Welcome to this video talk entitled Anaerobic Digestion in Fecal Sludge Management within Cox's Bazar, a search through data. I am John Mollett and I work for a social enterprise called Sustainable One World Technologies, or SOTEC for short. A brief word about abbreviations or jargon. It gets everywhere, so the abbreviations or specialist terms that I will be using will be highlighted with my little cloud. In this talk, I will frequently use the terms AD, FSM and CXB. AD means anaerobic digestion, which is process by which organic wastes decompose in the absence of oxygen. FSM stands for Fecal Sludge Management, and CXB is shorthand for the refugee camps near Cox's Bazar in Bangladesh. A few more comments about the terms fecal sludge management. This term covers the entire pathway from human excretion of feces to its return into the environment. The following steps in this pathway are defined in the e-compendium, and they are user interface, collection and storage, conveyance, treatment and use or disposal. Another jargon alert. In this instance, a user interface is not a phone or a PC screen, it's a toilet or latrine. The take-home messages will be: you will have seen one case study showing a way to find and analyze available data. You will understand the limitation of these data and the difficulty of interpretation. You will have seen evidence that the process of anaerobic digestion is the most common FSM process in Cox's Bazar, and you will appreciate that the treatment process will not always be labelled as AD. This is a photo of part of Cox's Bazar camp. The terrain is undulating and prone to flooding. This is the context for the data we are discussing. When I asked those who know more than I, what data is there regarding fecal sludge management in Cox's Bazar, I was directed to this website, and they were right. There is a lot of information available. But first, a comment on abbreviations. WASH. You probably know this abbreviation, but did you know that the original expression was Water and Sanitation for Health, and this was way back in 1988. It makes the acronym rather more understandable. It is now widely used to mean water, sanitation and hygiene. ISCG is the Intersector Coordination Group. This website is very daunting and difficult. It contains a great deal of information, but it was unclear where to find the information I was seeking. Then I had a eureka moment. I found the master spreadsheet for Cox's Bazar WASH infrastructure, and it was up to date, July 2020. You can probably appreciate I was a happy little bear. It listed everything, including the agency involved, a subsector called sanitation, and a list of the type of facilities. So this will be straightforward, I thought. Oh no. I started with the agencies. Almost all acronyms. Jargon overload. It took several hours on the internet to pin down who these agencies were, all 41 of them, and it translated into a 7-page reference list. There are filters that can be used to interrogate spreadsheets, and so I searched sanitation and all the FSM facilities. Another acronym cropped up, ODP. Well, that stands for Open Defecation Pit. Having sorted ODP, I encountered another term I did not recognize. It was written SOILD, Separation Unit, or SSU. I thought that could simply be a typo for solid. I turned to a comprehensive reference work, the e-compendium, to give me the answer. This website lists 61 technologies, but I could not find an SSU or a solid separation. So I tried to search, but I could not find a search function. So another hurdle not overcome, and so I am no wiser. But it sounds self-explanatory. So I then added up all the facilities with the same name and then grouped them according to the nature of the process. At the top of the leaderboard, all the different terms which include the anaerobic digestion process. The next group are mechanical separation processes, and then lime treatments, followed by aerobic treatments, wetlands and the unknown. I should point out that this spreadsheet has over 67,000 line entries, so it is very comprehensive. Unfortunately, there are 560 FSM sites listed in the website, but if you add all those listed above, it comes to 545. I was unable to locate the missing 15 sites. You can see from these data that the AD facilities are the most numerous in the list. But just having lots of installations doesn't mean it treats the most waste. So I then added up the volume of the facilities for each category. This now shows us that the ABR, another acronym standing for Anaerobic Baffled Reactor, has a higher capacity by volume than the biogas plants. The average size of the biogas plants is approximately 2 cubic meters capacity. But note, the mystery SSU has the second biggest volume capacity on this sheet at 810 cubic meters, and it is not even listed in the e-compendium, at least not by this name. However, two further things to note. Neither the frequency of the installation nor the capacity of the installation really gives us a measure of the role that it has in treating sludge. Surely this should be the amount of waste treated over a given unit of time. But there is a notable absentee from this list. Where are the septic tanks? After further digging, the septic tanks were found. They were not listed as FSM sites, but under the latrines and bathings heading. No data for volume capacity is given, but there are 3,145 sites listed with septic tanks. So this is, by a very large margin, the most common facility in which FSM is being treated. You may not appreciate this, but the septic tanks do not have any aeration system, so the sludge is anaerobically decomposing. I'd now like to give you a little anecdote which I hope will guide you to stay curious, stay critical, and keep asking questions. You may recall this slide at the beginning of the talk. When I was searching for data on FSM, I noticed the following report, Biofill Toilets Evaluation. I had no idea what a biofill toilet was, so, being inquisitive, I took a look at the report. The report was an evaluation of toilets which are inoculated with worms to aerate and break down the wastes. The worms are sometimes referred to as tiger worms, Eisenia foetida. They are striped, hence the name. So the approach has numerous names: biofill, tiger worm toilets, composting worm toilets, or vermicomposting toilets. A total of 2,176 biofill toilets are listed as installed in the camps. But just a note, I could not find them listed in the WASH infrastructure spreadsheet at all. I studied the report and have reproduced a table from it on this slide. You can see that when they were evaluated, only 15% of the toilets had any worms, and 45% of the toilets were waterlogged. Well, waterlogged toilets cannot support worms, and so the waste in these toilets is also decomposing by the process of anaerobic digestion. So, my wrap-up messages regarding the process of exploring the data is that there's a surfeit of reports and publications regarding fecal sludge management, but the information is opaque. It's not easy to know exactly what it means. The units and meanings are difficult to interpret, but nevertheless they do represent the best information available, and they do give an impartial understanding of real life. But keep asking questions. The data does, however, show us that anaerobic digestion is the process that is found in many different structures, such as vessels, tanks, pits, or lagoons. Of the treatment processes being used, AD is the most common type, and it treats the greatest volume of waste. The degradation process in these facilities are generally not managed, and there was no data found to illustrate the beneficial use of the biogas which these facilities are releasing. They simply released the potent greenhouse gas methane into the atmosphere, but that is another story. Thank you for your attention. My name is John Mullett, and I hope this talk has been helpful.